Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Arabella Crochet Afghan video tutorial series. In this video we will be making Motif B, which is this motif right here between our Motif A's. Motif B is sort of a filler motif that helps break things up and give us some visual balance. For this tutorial I'm using Stylecraft Batik DK in silver and a 4.5mm hook. You'll also need scissors and a yarn needle. I'll be working my motif in a single color to keep things simple and clean looking, but if you'd like to add some more interest, you can make this motif in multiple colors. Simply start each new round in the corner with a standing stitch or a slip stitch and chain 3 for your first double crochet. Let's get started. To start Motif B, I'm going to use a double magic circle. If you don't want to use a magic circle, that's totally fine. Go to the Motif A video and look at the two options I have for using something other than a magic circle. So for my double magic circle, I'm going to take the yarn and wrap it around my fingers twice. Pull the yarn through those loops, hold it in your fingers, adjust the tension on the yarn, and chain 1 to secure. I like to pull that chain 1 tight and then chain 2 more, so the total of 3 chains to count as your first double crochet. Then 2 more double crochet into the magic circle, chain 2, now 3 double crochet into the magic circle, and chain 2. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. 3 double crochet, chain 2. 2 more times. There's 3 double crochet and chain 2. Three double crochet and chain 2. So now I should have 4 sets of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they all have a chain 2 right after them. So now let's close this double magic circle. To do that, find the yarn end and untwist it as much as it needs so that it comes out from your stitches nice and straight, and then pull on it just a little bit, and see which of these 2 loops started to close. Find the one that got smaller, and from the top here, pull it from the top until the other loop closes all the way, and then go back to your yarn end and pull that so that both loops are now closed. Now go back to your stitches and slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that we did to start. So I actually come in at an angle on mine. Keeps things nice and easy. And that is round 1. For round 2, we're going to start by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This chain 4 counts as a double crochet followed by a chain 1. Now skip the very next stitch, and into the stitch after that make a double crochet. So we have a double crochet, chain 1, that's what our chain 4 stands as. We skipped a stitch and then we double crocheted in the next stitch. Now chain 1 and into the chain 2 space. Now the chain 2s all count as corners for the entire square, so keep that in mind. So into that corner chain 2 space we're going to make double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now chain 1 and into the very next stitch make a double crochet. chain 1, skip the next stitch, that middle stitch of your 3, skip the middle one, and double crochet into the next one after that. Chain 1. Now we're at our next corner chain 2 space, so double crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and double crochet again. Now chain 1 and double crochet in the very next stitch. Chain 1, skip that middle double crochet and double crochet into the double crochet right after it. Chain 1, we're at the next corner, so double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner. Now chain 1, double crochet in that very first stitch after the corner, chain 1, skip that middle stitch and double crochet in the stitch right after it, chain 1, we're at the last corner, so double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner, chain 1, and now to finish round 2 we're going to slip stitch to the 3rd chain in our starting chain. So we had 4, so what I like to do is actually find the top 2 loops of the stitch right after the chain 4, and then I can easily count backwards. Here's a chain 1 right after it, or right before it I should say, and the chain right before that I know is the top of the 3 chains that count as my double crochet. So I'll work into that one, and when I work into a chain I actually kind of go in, I did this on the last round but I wanted to show you on this round because it's a little easier to see. I go in under the back loop and the back bump. So this one right here, let me get my needle so I can point. This is what would be the front loop of this chain, and this is the back loop. So I go under the back loop and under the back bump. There's 3 parts to your chain. So the front loop, the back loop, and then the bump that's in the back. I go under the back loop and the back bump. That's what I like to slip stitch to. You can do it however you want, of course. I like to go under those. I think that it looks a little bit neater when your chains are actually sort of turned towards the front of your square, and I just think it makes it look a little bit nicer, but you can do it however you like. So that is round 2. Before we start on round 3, I wanted to mention something that I probably should have mentioned in round 1. If you have trouble identifying the front and back of your work, now is a really good time to mark it. So grab a stitch marker. I have these pretty fancy little ones my friend Diane sent me, and these are really nice if you have any of these fancy beaded kind. They hook onto one little loop of yarn, and just anywhere that you know it'll stay in the front. If you get something on the side, it might slip through around the back. You don't want that to happen. So get something right in the middle and just hook it on there, and you'll know that that's the front of your square. This is actually going to drive me crazy as we work, so I'm going to take it off. You can also just use a scrap of yarn. If you have something in a contrasting color lying around, just grab a scrap of yarn and tie it to one of these stitches so that you know which side is the front. Okay, so now we're going to do round 3. Round 3, we're just going to put on a round of double crochet. So the first thing you do is chain 3 to count as your first double crochet. Then you're going to work into the chain 1 space right after that and make another double crochet. Then into the stitch right after that, another double crochet. Just keep doing that until we get to the corner. So double crochet in the chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch. And that brings us to the chain 2 corner. In the corner, we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, chain 2, and 1 and 2. Now double crochet in each stitch and chain 1 space across to the next corner. So double crochet in the stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the stitch, chain 1 space. You get the idea. Then into the corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Now let's do that all the way around. Last corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets. Okay, so now that we're almost all the way around, we just need to double crochet in that last stitch, and then double crochet again in the last chain 1 space, and then slip stitch to the top chain of the starting chain 3 to join, and that is round 3. Now for round 4, we're going to do more of the double crochet chain 1 space. So chain 4, 2, 3, 4 to count as your first double crochet and chain 1. Skip the very next stitch and double crochet into the stitch after that. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the stitch after that. Chain 1, we're going to keep doing this, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the stitch after that. That should be the last stitch of the side. Chain 1, and now work your corner stitches, which are double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now chain 1 and double crochet in the first stitch of the side. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. And just keep doing that all the way across to the last side. I'm sorry, all the way across to the last stitch. Okay, and then chain 1 and into the corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Chain 1 in the first stitch, double crochet, and now chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, all the way across the side. So go ahead and do that across the next 2 sides, and I'll show you how to finish up and slip stitch to close this round. Okay, so I worked all the way around and I've made my last corner. I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet in that next stitch, the very first stitch after the corner, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then we're back at the beginning so we can slip stitch to the third chain of our starting chain 4 to join. And that is round 4. Now round 5 is just like round 3. We'll start with a chain 3 to count as our first double crochet, and then just double crochet in each chain 1 space and each stitch across to the corner. Okay, and then in the corner chain 2 space, we do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then we just continue. Double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next chain 1 space across to the next corner. So just like round 3, go ahead and do that again all the way around and slip stitch to the first double crochet, or the starting chain 3 I should say, to join, and that's it. That's how you do round 5. Round 6 is essentially just a repeat of round 4. So start with a chain 4 to count as your first double crochet and chain 1 space. Skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. And do that across to the corner. You should end in the last stitch of the side just before the chain 2 space. Chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in that corner chain 2 space, chain 1, and double crochet in the very first stitch of the side, and then just keep going like that. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, across to the next corner. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and fasten off, or don't fasten off, join with a slip stitch to the third chain of the starting chain, just like we did for round 4. For round 7, we'll just be repeating round 5 or round 3. It's exactly the same. There's just a few more stitches on each side. So start with a chain 3 as your first double crochet, and then double crochet in each chain 1 space and each stitch across to the corner. In the corners, you'll make 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and then double crochet in each stitch and chain 1 space across to the next corner. Go ahead and do that all the way around to the first stitch, slip stitch to the first stitch or the top of that starting chain 3 to join, and that's round 7, and I will see you for round 8. Round 8 is our final round. We are going to just put a round of basic single crochet on. So start with a chain 1 and then single crochet in that very first stitch, the same as your join, and then single crochet in each stitch across to the corner. Okay, in the corner, make a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. And then just repeat that all the way around. We're going to single crochet across the side, and then in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. When you're done, you should have 29 stitches on each side, plus the chain 2 corners. So go ahead and do that all the way around. We are going to finish with an invisible join, and I will show you how to do that next. To finish round 8, we're going to make an invisible join. So after all your single crochets are in, go ahead and snip your yarn. And then pull it through. Grab your yarn needle and thread it. And now what we're going to do is find that first stitch that we made of this round. So there's our first single crochet. That's the chain 1 right there. There's the single crochet. go to the next single crochet, the second one, and insert your needle under the top 2 loops and pull the yarn through. Then go back to your last single crochet where the yarn comes out and go under the back loop, and if you can, the loop right under the back loop, the one we call the 3rd loop, go under that one too, and then pull your yarn so that your yarn end has now made 2 new loops right above your first single crochet. And the only indication that that is there is, well, there's kind of you can see where the join was. There's one little loop hiding that you can kind of see. That's your only indication that there is a join there. So get the tension right on that. It's not really going to sit right until you weave this end in, so we're just going to go ahead and weave it in right away. I'm going to weave it under the base of these single crochets. I like to go this way, just about 4 or 5 stitches under the base, those legs. Then come back here, adjust the tension. Okay, so it blends in really well. And now I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to hook around the leg of one of these single crochets so that my yarn stays in place. Go back the other way. And for this outside round, I do that again. So I go under the legs of a few more single crochets, just a few, because I'm going to go back once more just to make sure this is nice and secure. And then while we're here, we'll go ahead and do that first end. This one is really long because we did the magic circle. So what I like to do for this one, whenever I'm weaving in ends, I try to find the most standard stitches, so ones that go in a straight line, not a lot of special things going on, and just kind of weave my yarn up to them if possible. So that's what I'm going to do here. I am going to start by going in the opposite direction of my magic circle. My magic circle goes around like this, in this direction, a clockwise direction. So now I'm going to weave this end. Let's go up this first double crochet. So I'm hooking around this loop to hold my yarn in place, and I'm going to try and go a little bit in the opposite direction of my magic circle, just to create some tension there to get things to hold in place. And I'm going to weave up that double crochet, and then I'm going to weave up this double crochet because I want to get, I'm just going under a few of the loops in the back to make it subtle. I want to get to these round 3 stitches so that I can go under the base of them. That's where I'm most comfortable, is just going under the base of these double crochets at least once. I'm going to go under just a couple more. Yeah, right to the corner is fine. And then I am going to actually, see, I'm going to pull these apart, find that chain space underneath, and just stab my needle through the middle of those chains. That will hook my yarn in place again, and then I'll go back under the double crochets where I just worked, and that should hold them in place nicely. Okay, and that is that for motif B. And if you want to make sure that you remember which side is the front, now's a good time to put your stitch marker back in and put that baby in the stack. That is motif B.